My God is definitely not a bully.
My God is not a bully.
My God is not a bully.
I'm Colleen. It's been kind of a lifelong journey for me, reconciling my faith to my sexuality because I identify as lesbian. I was almost 16 years old, walking home from school one day when I suddenly became aware in my own mind that I had these feelings toward women, toward my girlfriends, that I didn't have so intensely with guys I dated. And I immediately knew, just from my own subculture, that that was not okay and I needed to bury it. And that I tried to do. And it was actually not until I was in college, toward the end of my college career, that I first heard about a person who was raising her family and living in a loving relationship with another woman. And I was shocked, and it took me some time to process that. And then I was in seminary when I met the first person that I was a friend with who was other than heterosexual. And so these things were swimming around inside of me. I was hearing words about acceptance of people regardless of their gender or sexual identity at the seminary. And yet I was very frightened living in a rural area about how I could be who I was, particularly because I was clergy. And so I buried and stayed away from that part of myself and tried to deny it because I was coming under a whole nother level of secrecy by becoming a clergy person in the denomination that I'm in. It was really not until about the year 2000, and we're talking about having started in 1968 as a 15-year-old and coming to the year 2000, that I began to decide that I needed to be my authentic self because I was really being just squelched. I was just losing my sense of self under all these other identities. And I knew by that time that there were people who were allies in my denomination, people at annual conferences that spoke out about inclusion of all peoples at all levels of the church. And I found myself in my own work preaching to myself and to my congregation more and more all the time just about Jesus and what Jesus did in the way of justice. How he was always including and reaching out to the people who were at the margins and bringing them into the center of the room and challenging the way things were happening. And I know I was trying to convince myself that who I was okay. So I took a leave from the church to begin to explore a little bit of what it would be like for me to be in a relationship that felt really connected in the way that I hadn't experienced before. And then in that relationship, I tried to figure out how I could connect my sense of call to God with my sense of myself as a lesbian. And I tried to do two different worlds at the same time, driving 40 miles to my place of work, coming home to live my authentic self with my partner. And it was at the time that she was killed in a car wreck that I began to realize that I couldn't live this secret thing anymore. It just wasn't working for me. And when I really decided to come before my credentialing board and tell them who I was and to be okay with myself as a person of faith and to not even allow that credential to have more weight than my own authentic self, that I really came into my own. That's just my story. It took a whole lifetime, and in some sense it's still carrying on. The more people that I am able to come out to about who I am, the more freedom I have to be who I am in the world, to have a voice for justice for other people as well as myself, and to be able to claim that I am proud to be Christian and to be lesbian.